So here's where it's going to start. A question I really hate. People ask it all the time is, you guys staying busy? Isn't that such a normal question? Are you guys staying busy? That's the most common business question in the world. And I think the question should be more like, are you guys profitable? Because there's so many companies that are so busy, but when at the end of the year, they look at their margins and they're like, yeah, I hope something changes next year. We had a really busy year. But really, the question should be, you should start walking up to people and saying, you guys profitable?
Yeah.
You guys making money?
I mean, most people look at you like,
yeah,
click on me or
most people probably just look at you and go, yeah, all he cares about is money. And I'm like, no, you know what? Let me ask you a question. You going to work tomorrow? Yeah. Why are you going to work tomorrow? To make money. Yeah, you care about money? Is that all you care about? But if you have your own business, like, the goal isn't to be busy. The goal is to be profitable. I think all of us, we started our own business because we wanted more time. That's why I started my own business. I wanted more money and time. And I was like, if there's a way to have more of both of that, then that would be a win. But somewhere along the line, a lot of times we get busy and we feel good because we're busy. But the real question should be, how profitable are you?
Yeah, I wish you'd have told me that back in 2011. And maybe I should have hit record.
Welcome to the Roof Coating Contractor Podcast, where ambitious entrepreneurs discover how to launch and grow a profitable commercial roof coating business. Whether starting up or ready to scale, you'll hear proven strategies and insider secrets to succeed in the booming commercial roofing market.
Back in 2011, I was in that place, totally busy, burned out. I went through depression, all kinds of terrible stuff in 2009-10. And that's what attracted me to this business, is because we can build something over time that keeps growing and it pays over time without getting busier and busier over time. Running 3 businesses back then, I was very busy. Was I profitable? No, I don't think we made, probably 50,000 in those years. And I was totally busy, probably 60 hours a week.
Wow.
Burned out. I did get burned out and went through depression and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a difference.
It's almost a little bit, like Owen can cut this out if it's controversial to say this. It's almost a little bit fueled by the volume focus. People don't like to hear that. It's good to try to hit volume targets, but I don't think you should sacrifice profit for volume. I don't think that's a good idea. Like I said, that is a controversial topic. Some people are willing to do that, and if they want to, go ahead.
Yeah.
But what if you run into issues later on that roof? Like, you're throwing an 18-year warranty on that, and you made wages? Like, you actually don't know what you made on that roof until your warranty's up.
Yep.
I think and you touched on this, volume. Why volume? And I'd say without systems, that's like the trap. So yeah, you're talking about measuring. How do you measure your success, basically? Are you just running volume because you want to hit this big number, or are you actually, like Elias said, making profit? And so let's break this down a little bit more. What are some systems that people should have in place so they're not just busy, but they're actually focused on profit? Because that's what we're after. What's the solution to this problem?
I think, honestly, one of the number one place that contractors especially maybe miss this is the belief that if they bid their jobs lower, like they're going to, somehow that's going to fix problems. Well, we at least got the roof. And people get super busy doing jobs, but, they got desperate to sell them rather than pricing jobs where they need to be priced. And I mean, every year, we bid against other contractors that I look at some of those estimates and I'm just like, I literally don't understand how they can be in business pricing those numbers. And I think that's one of the biggest, issues in the roofing market is people just trying to price cheap to get a job. And I'm like, no, you got to price where you need to price so you can go do the roof right. You're never going to cut corners. Price them in a way that you can even add more value. You could do something over and above for your client, and the people that are going to see the value of who you are, what you're offering, the services you're offering, those people, they're going to go with you. They really are. I'm helping my brother-in-law Tony in a fairly new company. This last year was our second full year, and he did almost $1.5 million in sales. And I can tell you, I guarantee you, not one of those jobs was priced to where there wasn't a really nice profit in there. And we're done at the end of the year, and I'm looking at numbers, and I'm just frankly honest. I'm surprised at how much money was in the bank, and I like that. I own a little piece of that.
You don't
company.
have a problem with that.
No, I don't have a problem with that. But that's a direct result because we weren't out there trying to cheap stuff up. We picked up really good customers, and then we go over and above and do the projects right. And they're referring us. We had one client refer us to a new customer. I mean, they never even got another company to bid because he said, I referred you, gave you a high recommendation. I mean, we did $500,000 worth of work, over $500,000 just for one brand new client this year. And so I think that's the number one place where a lot of guys make mistakes is, especially in the coding world, is, they skimp on pricing, and then maybe they start skimping on materials a little bit, and you're not doing anybody a favor long term that way. And so I would tell, just for the first thing, man, price your jobs where you got to be. And some of the worst ones, honestly, are some of the bigger companies because they get really desperate. Some of the smallest guys are not there. Some of these bigger companies that have a bunch of overhead and got a lot of payroll, and all of a sudden they're just allowing their sales guys to kind of bid where they need to get to at least keep the guys busy. And that's just a horrible place to be, in my opinion.
I know back in during COVID times when inflation was going wild, we actually had this discussion, how do you price projects? And back at that time, a lot of people were pricing by the square foot. So costs, all your costs were broken down by square foot. And I know some contractors switched to a percentage base. So they'd price everything based on percent, because then if inflation, your costs go up, then it's all relative and you still keep your profit. And so that's something to keep in mind. Some roofers are probably wondering, like, what can I do differently so I can charge more money? That's a huge subject because there's a lot of things in that. There's personal development. There's how you approach people. It's your character. It's how excited you are to meet people. Just that in itself that's probably a small package, a small part of it. But what are some things that you and Tony would do differently when you're out there meeting people that would be different so you can actually price these profitably?
If you missed the Leadership Essentials seminar, you can now get the full recordings, plus a whole list of solid bonuses. That includes a 4-week live Zoom masterclass on sales and closing using the 4 Natures framework, so you understand how different people think, decide, and buy. Check it out at smarterroofer.com/lead and grab the Leadership Essentials recordings, the upcoming live masterclass by Elias Raber, and more. That's smarterroofer.com/lead.
Build relationships, good quality relationships. When you're talking to somebody you've never met before, that person's brain subconsciously is saying, I like this guy or I don't like this guy. Like subconsciously. That's where your contracts are sold more than any place else, is if you're the kind of person that understands how to work with people. This is a new book that we wrote. Some of you guys were at our leadership conference. If you've not got this book, The 4 Natures, it's our own curriculum on this subject. And it's really a leadership book, but it's about how to work with people, how to recognize personalities in people, and then how to mirror those personalities and work with them. And when you can do that well, sometimes you slow down and sometimes you speed up, depending on who you're talking with, right? Like sometimes you have more energy in your voice, and the next times you need to calm yourself down. It's literally that person, that new guy, that new client, that new that new customer you're talking to, their brain literally says, this is a good guy. I can trust him. We're spending $100,000 on the roof, or we're spending $125,000. I'd rather spend an extra $25,000 and give it to this guy because there's no doubt our project's going to be handled well. It's going to be done right. I don't have to worry about it. Like we were on a roof just the other day. I would have loved to tell the guy, we can just coat your roof. And honestly, probably a lot of guys. My 15-year-old's year ago self would have just said, "Oh yeah, we can just coat this roof."
I guarantee
it. You know, because we were taught that. Oh, you can just spray it anyway.
Guarantee it.
And it's not like that. I told him, I said, well, I know there's a couple other guys said, yeah, you could just coat it. I said, I'm just going to be straight up and honest with you why that's not going to work. It might work for a year or two, but it's not going to work long term. I literally priced the job over double what it would have had to been just to go code it. And he said, when can you start on the job? He didn't sign a contract yet, but he said, get me a contract and let me know when you get started. He's like, we can work with that. It's not just being a sleazeball trying to be the cheapest guy out there. It's being the guy that sometimes has to have that conversation and say, I hate to even go here, but this roof's going to need tore off. And here's why. If you're looking for the cheapest guy out there, I'm not your guy. But if you're looking for somebody that's going to do it right, we've learned over the last 15 years, this is what we got to do to make sure this is done right. And so it's having those conversations, but it's also really mirroring the people that you're working with. And that guy, I knew right away, he's a guy just like you, Owen. There's nothing that I can say to him that's even going to make me believe what I'm telling him.
Research.
Because he's going to do his own research.
Yep.
Because
gotta have the numbers, the data.
Yeah.
And so he said, where can I learn more about this product? And so
you should have offered before he asked.
And I totally was, but he literally
knew,
beat me.
You knew he was going.
And he was like, where can I learn more? So I said, well, I'll attach a bunch of stuff for you when we send you the contract.
You can be sure he went online.
I'm sure
he did his research.
Oh, he asked, what product are you using? And he wrote it all down and everything.
Yeah.
And so he's going to do his research. And I just know that like that personality, if I would have pressured him to sign a contract right there, his this is a scam meters would have went straight out of the roof. He's like, I can't trust this guy. But I know that personality in a person, he's not going to make a decision. The more information I can get him to help him make a decision, the better.
I was just talking to a roofer last week, stopped at my office and mentioned a couple different projects he's bidding. And he said the one, he's pretty sure he'll get it. He can feel that. Because in his words, he said he hit it off with the maintenance guy. They hit it off. They just connected. But then there was another project he bid, and I think that was a pretty big one. But he said he's not too sure on that one.
Yeah.
Because they didn't hit it off. There was no
100%.
connection. And so
if you don't understand this stuff, the only people you're going to hit it off with is people just like yourself. And when you understand that, you can hit it off with everybody.
You mentioned trust too. If a building owner is doing a Google search, like, I need a good commercial roofer, and he hits your website and he doesn't trust you, you're never going to get the call. And you mentioned trust. I think that even starts in marketing.
I know where this is going.
Well, shameless plug for commercial roofing
websites.
Right.
Commercial roofing websites.com.
The sponsor of today's episode.
Yeah. He may or may not be sitting at this table with a black shirt on.
Yeah. Any closing comments, Mervin, as we wrap this up?
By coming in and explaining, I'm not the cheapest guy, you're immediately removing the thought that this guy's desperate.
Mm-hmm.
If you say right up front, hey, I'm going to be more than my competitor, like my price is going to be higher, you automatically are willing to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
So they read that as, he really doesn't care if he doesn't get the job.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's very important. And another thing I'll sometimes do, and I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but it has seemed to work for me, is I'll give them an alternative that doesn't involve me. Okay, I can do this to the roof, or I can do this, or you could do that. And I don't even do that. But then I explain on that's what will happen with that, and this is what will happen with this. So you give them the alternative, but then you talk them out of it. That also comes across as you don't, because if you just say, well, here's 3 options you can do with the roof. You can do this or this or this, and here's the 3 quotes to do it. Like, you're not giving him any option that doesn't involve you. I may be wrong on this, but it just seems if whenever I tell them, you could actually do this to it, and it doesn't involve you, automatically they want to know, okay, so what do you actually think I should do? If they know that you're okay with them doing something else with someone else, they trust you a lot more to have their best interest in mind.
Yeah, you're doing exactly the opposite of what most guys are going to do as salespeople to go in there. Most people are going to bash their competition. Most sales guys are going to try to down the Chevy to sell the Ford.
Yeah.
And that doesn't sell the Ford. It actually oftentimes makes them go look at the Chevy.
Yeah.
A lot of times. And so what you're doing is just really reversing that whole process. I remember years ago, we were on a church house roof, and that guy, literally, when I walked in there, the first thing he told me was we're really thinking about, it was about 20,000 square feet, so about a nice long building. It would have worked well to do what he was suggesting that we do, which we didn't do, is he said, we're thinking about putting a truss on this roof. It was a flat church house roof. He said, we're thinking about putting a truss on this roof and putting metal up there and then insulating that. He said, we need more insulation. every ounce in me, this is probably 12 years ago, every ounce in my body wanted to say, no, don't do a truss, don't do metal, because we didn't do that. I grew up doing that, but at the time, like in our company, we still don't do that. I wanted to do a spray foam system on that roof for him. And it was actually the perfect roof to do a spray foam system on. Instead of bashing that, I just remember thinking, I said, that would be a good option. But I said, let me just show you what we do. And then if you want to go that route, I said, I have a friend that would do it for you. And I did not want to say that. Like, I have a good friend that would do that for you. And so I got my foam samples out and I showed him what we could do. And he was like, well, this would take care of our insulation problem too. Because does this provide R value? And I'm like, oh yeah, it provides a tremendous amount of R value. And he was like, well, if we do put a pitched roof up there, now we got a big snow problem. He's like, this is a lot of snow that's going to come down. You know, there's some cons. He starts telling me some of the cons on putting a big pitched metal roof up there. You know, we're going to have a lot of snow sliding down, and we got to figure out maybe have to do a different entrance and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we ended up selling, I think it was almost a $250,000 commercial job for that client. But I didn't go bash him. I didn't bash his idea. I just offered, hey, this is a solution. But hey, if you want to go that route, I can hook you up with somebody.
Yeah, you actually play it out with him.
Yeah.
Like, let's see where this would go either way, and you kind of nudge him your way a little bit. And
that was the first time I recall like doing that, you know, because I'm sure my earlier self, the prior couple of years, I'd probably bashed some of our competition and tried to make it look like it'd be dumb if you would go that route. And you don't win contracts doing that.
I guarantee you do that.
And we started off with being busy. You know, busy distracts you from fixing what actually matters, and take inventory. Don't just be busy. Ask yourself, are we profitable? Are we doing the right things? Do we have a good profit? Are we bidding our job with really good margins? Are we selling value? You know, what really are we doing? Because we're not just in business to be busy.
Give people options. Think about doing percentage-based in your business instead of square foot-based when it comes to markup. Yeah. Build repeatable systems, which we didn't talk about that, but systems you can repeat over and over because that'll usually increase your profit. And build relations. Those are the levers. Get out there and pull them.
If you missed the Leadership Essentials seminar, you can now get the full recordings, plus a whole list of solid bonuses. That includes a 4-week live Zoom masterclass on sales and closing using the 4 Natures framework, so you understand how different people think, decide, and buy. Check it out at smarterroofer.com/lead and grab the Leadership Essentials recordings, the upcoming live masterclass by Elias, Raber, and more. That's smarterroofer.com/lead.